How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sundays 3 Pacific 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley 10 a.m. Pacific 1 Eastern, and it is Monday here on this show. And you know what that means? We have a very busy weekend to talk about, and a busy week upcoming to talk about. We have Monday Night Raw tonight. We have everyone's favorite show, NXT, coming up tomorrow. AEW is in Portland, Oregon on Wednesday, which is too bad because I'm actually heading to Oregon on Friday, but I don't think I'm going to be going to this show. It's a 3.5 hour drive there and back, but it looks like a fun show. We'll tell you about that. And then we've got lineups for Wrestle Kingdom 18, which is coming up on January 4th. The New Japan Lone Star Shootout, which is coming up this Friday, November 10th. You'll be able to watch it on Fight TV. And then, of course, we had a lot of stuff that happened this weekend, including the SmackDown show, which I don't think we're going to talk a lot about SmackDown. Lame duck show. It really just was final build to Crown Jewel, which was on Saturday. We have all of the results of Crown Jewel. Hey, listen, if you like WWE-style wrestling, I mean, there was nothing bad on the show. If you are looking for more than that, well, actually, yeah, Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. That was actually a pretty great match. But it was your usual WWE Saudi pay-per-view. Really, not a lot happened, which I was begging for something to happen. So we'll find out if they switch things up on Raw tonight or if we just have to wait until the Royal Rumble. We have Cody Rhodes talking about a dream match he was offered in AEW. Update on Julia. There have been a lot of rumors about Julia. We'll tell you what we know about her. And the Collision results from Saturday night as well. So a lot to get into. Mike Sempervive joins us after the break. Back in a moment, Observer Live. It's all helpful, friendly stuff. And I remember there was one point in the tape where I was telling him something about how one of his moves looked really good. I can't remember what it was. Probably the pump handle slam. And for some reason, he just snapped. And I remember he took all of his papers and he threw them up in the air, making a huge mess, which of course later he would have to clean up. And then he stormed off to his room. And I remember getting up and walking over and pounding on the door, asking him to come out, and he just refused. And I have no idea what the problem was. I can't explain it. Day after day after day, I waited. He wouldn't come out for anything, not even to make my beef taquitos, which he's required to make each evening. And so finally, on the fourth day, he still did not come out. He still wouldn't respond to my constant pounding or anything. And so at that point, I knew that I was going to have to do the one thing that I just did not want to do. And so I did it. I made the hardest phone call I've ever had to make.
Man, that's weird. Where did they put him?
You better come with me. Green Hill School for Wayward Youths.
Youth? Isn't Vince 27?
The doctors don't know how long it could be. It could be weeks, months, years.
Poor shoulders.
I just hope that when he gets out, he's the same shoulders he was when he went in, you know?
Show. Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. And it is a Monday here, and every Monday, Observer Live is free on YouTube. So if you're not watching today, if you're listening to this podcast, next Monday, head up there. Video.f4wonline.com. You can watch the show free at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. And maybe we'll do some questions later. We will see. But we got a lot of news to talk about, including 3 shows coming up over the next couple of days. We have got Raw, NXT, and AEW in Portland, Oregon. And Raw tonight has got the Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders match. Ricochet versus Miz versus Bronson Reed versus Ivar. So Miz is, hey, where are you, Mike? What channel are you on? Clearly not that one. There you are. All right. Anyway, we've got the #1 contenders match. Ricochet, Miz, Bronson Reed, and Ivar. And then we've also got Shinsuke Nakamura. He's been looking for a challenge. And the man who's accepted the challenge today is Akira Tozawa. Don't think that's going to go all too well for Tozawa. But that is the Raw show. That's all we know as of right now for Raw. And then we have got the NXT show coming up on Tuesday. Noam Dar against Tozawa. So Tozawa is going from being killed tonight to facing Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup tomorrow. And hey, who knows? Maybe Tozawa's going to beat Nakamura. Lyra will make her return to the show, her first show back since winning the title from Becky. She was not on the show last week. It was night 2 of Halloween Havoc. We've got an Iron Survivor Challenge qualifying match. They're doing a men's and women's, this Iron Survivor Challenge. Tiffany Stratton versus Fallon Henley is tonight, after that match could not take place last week, or tomorrow night. And then for the men, it is Dijak versus Tyler Bate. Now, this Iron Survivor Challenge, I mean, listen, I could find the rules if I wanted to, but the point is, off the top of my head, I couldn't even begin to tell you the 3 pages worth of rules for the Iron Survivor Challenge. This is, in the words of Tony Schiavone, it's really quite simple. Maybe it was Mike T said that. It's really quite simple. And then they had like 3 pages worth of words. So anyway, forget it. All you need to know is last year, because I am a fair man, whatever you want to say about me, last year I saw this 3 pages of rules. I ridiculed it. I buried it. I said it was stupid. I said it was too complicated. And then they did the show, and both matches were great.
Truth. Well, they were very good.
They were really good. And I think we'll probably have a far higher caliber of talent this year as compared to last year when they were coming off being NXT 2.0. So anyway, those and Mick Foley on his Instagram announced all of the women for the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge. So if you want to go up, you can check that out.
Is he looking like Santa Claus yet?
I mean, he looks like Santa Claus year-round, actually.
Well.
Then we have got Portland, Oregon's AEW show on Wednesday.
You're really stressing the Portland, Oregon part of this.
Why? I wasn't. It's in Portland, Oregon.
You said it like...
It should do all right.
A lot of local bias there, apparently, you're showing. Portland, Oregon's AEW
Oregon is not anywhere near where I'm at. I know you East Coasters think that I live in Oregon, but I don't. I live in Washington. I live way up in Washington, by the way.
You don't rep Billy Jack Haynes.
3.5 hours if I wanted to drive from here to Portland, Oregon.
You only go there for vacation.
Well, yeah, because I'm going to be there for days, and I have a place to stay. I'm not just going to drive down and back. That's hard. Plus, I'd have to come back and do a show with Dave.
Well, yeah, it's understandable.
We've got MJF versus Daniel Garcia for the AEW title. Samoa Joe versus Keith Lee for the Ring of Honor TV title. Jay White versus Mark Briscoe.
Ooh.
We've got Swerve Strickland versus Penta. And Red Velvet versus Julia Hart. You know who better show up on this show Wednesday? This Hangman.
Is it the police?
Where is this guy?
Where is... I mean, there really needs to be better explanation about all of this. Why is Prince Nana and Swerve Strickland, why are they around and allowed to run wild? I want to know, honestly, seriously here, because you had to have... what's his name from the Alex Abrahantes had to come to the defense of Hangman Page. I got a question. If he loves his family so much, why was there no baby monitor in the crib? And why was nobody at the house to hear the baby monitor as Swerve was cutting this promo? Again, there was way too much nonsense.
Brother, that's the least of our problems. That's the least of our... Yeah, the least of our problems is after the guy did it, Hangman apparently has been... getting an oil change, shopping at Target, eating at Applebee's. Like, whatever the guy's doing, what he's not doing is going to the shows.
I'm not saying he should have pulled Cain Velasquez here, but he should be doing something. On Saturday, this Swerve wrestled in the opener, and the obvious question is, why did Hangman not show up and kill this guy? And you know what? Yeah. These hardcore AEW defenders responded to me. They go, well, he wasn't in the building. Why not?
Exactly. That's not a defense. Why wasn't he in the building? This guy got his house broken into, and the guy was in the house apparently with his sleeping wife, and we know the sleeping baby because the guy cut a promo on the baby and dropped a shirt into the thing. Well, you know, I go beat his ass, wife, but I'm not booked for the show. I'll hang out here. Next time I'm booked, though, man, I'll get him. Come on.
Let me tell you. For old TK there, I know he watched the WCW, loves the Lethal Lottery and the like, and likes having people around from the era of Tony Schiavone and Dusty Rhodes being booked and booking Jim Crockett Promotions. Remember some of the things that they would do with just a camera, guerrilla that somebody would do, and they would tie it into the show somehow. Why is this being shown? Because J.J. Dillon put the money up. Some of those things are a lot simpler. And the fact that Hangman Page could be doing something to this man and should be doing something to this man, and we should see him trying to get some revenge on this psychopath who just apparently goes house to house when he feels like it and commits felonies.
Well, you want to know why? You want to know why he does that, Mike? Because there's no consequences.
Yeah.
He went to Nick Wayne's house. He assaulted him. He accosted him with a picture of Buddy Wayne, bloodied him up. Brian? And there were no consequences. Therefore, he thought, well, you know, I'm going to break into the Hangman's house, and I'm going to talk to his child, and there were no consequences. Not even Hangman. Hangman didn't even get mad.
But you had to come up with that, and that makes sense.
At least Nick Wayne got mad.
That explained on the air. You know what? When you're on AEW property, you never know what could happen, and we take, I don't know. There's got to be a better explanation to try to weave this into reality. When you do other things based in reality on the show and play off of reality, you have something that's so over the top that's just, again, it's just doing the small little detail work to try to make it, even if it's completely ridiculous. Everything in professional wrestling is completely ridiculous. You have to do a better job sewing up the loose ends around this story. It's crazy to me. It really is. From a guy who came on TV for a real life situation with CM Punk that I'm sure a lot of his audience actually, I'm sure some people didn't know about it. I'm sure a lot of them did. Most of them probably did, but I was scared for my life because something happened here. And then you have just Swerve running around again in storyline, committing felony after felony, and nothing happens. And they just move on to something else. Or people don't feel, or they're not looking. There's not even a camera shot of people looking at Swerve and Nana like, you even showed up here tonight. Like, we can't do anything about it because we'll get sued or something, but like, or get fired. But like, you're disgusting. Like, something to play more into it. And again, Hangman Page loses a lot in this as a father who's not losing his ever-loving mind, trying to get revenge on this bastard for breaking into his house.
All right, we also got Red Velvet and Julia Hart. Red Velvet's first match in a year. She will come back and be destroyed by Julia Hart, I presume, here. I'd bring her back to win, but not Julia Hart. She should not be beating Julia Hart. But that's the show for Wednesday. We'll talk about New Japan after the break. Observer Live. In the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Will Ospreay and Shooter this weekend. 40 minutes. Match was awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that I would say that it was the match of the year. A lot of people said it was their match of the year. I don't know if I would say that. Of course, I don't know what I would say the match of the year was, but, I mean, hey, listen, it was a great match. It was a great match. It was awesome. And, of course, Will Ospreay won. And then afterwards, old Jon Moxley's out there, and Ospreay challenges him to get into the ring. And they have this stare down. They're going to set up a match at the Tokyo Dome. And everyone's all buzzing, and they're getting all excited about what's going on. And then all of a sudden, they are both attacked by David Finlay and his shillelagh. And he lays them both out. And behind him is Ghetto with a sledgehammer. A big, giant black sledgehammer. Much like the one that The Fiend used in that Hell in a Cell match.
Well,
it was.
Not that big.
No, it was.
Not that
Yes,
big.
it was as big as that. It just didn't have polka dots on it. Black is slimming, Mike. It was just as big.
Fair enough.
And he took that black sledgehammer and he destroyed both of the title belts. And so at the Tokyo Dome, Wrestle Kingdom 18, January 4th, it will be Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, and David Finlay for some new belt. Is the Intercontinental title returning?
Oh.
Is it going to be the All-Pacific title?
No. I don't
What are they
think
going to
that
call it? I don't know, but it is a three-way. And with, obviously, Jon Moxley heading to, well, he's in AEW, and Will Ospreay heading who knows where, probably in February. Well, probably David Finlay is going to end up winning that match. And then, of course, the question is, well, where is Will Ospreay going? And the answer currently is that we don't know. But he has made it abundantly clear he's looking to make $1 million or more for this next contract. And that, not a lot of options there. WWE or AEW. And I realize that there is, you can look at the chat and online and everything like that, and, there's a lot of people that they still don't want to hear anything about WWE. But the fact of the matter is, do not think for 1 second that WWE is out of the question here. WWE is very much in the running. AEW is in the running. And, things have changed in wrestling. And a lot of people are no longer looking at WWE as why would anyone ever go there? What would the word be? The reputation of WWE over the last year has very much changed with a lot of people.
The optics have changed.
The optics have changed with a lot of people. I mean, it's already going here in the chat. Will Ospreay will never go to WWE. WWE, worst wrestling experience. I mean, you guys can think whatever you want, okay? But I'm just telling you right now that maybe you should at least think that this is a possibility so that perhaps you will not be disappointed.
Well, I'll pluck Convoy's comment out of there just because it'll drive him nuts that I'm talking about him on the show. But he says he's not just about the money. And I would say this about Will Ospreay and Julia. If ultimately both of them wind up in WWE, and I don't know that Ospreay would. I still think Ospreay is a better fit for AEW, but let's just pretend he signs there. It's not just about the money. It's not just about the money for a Julia who would probably have to do what Dragon Lee did and go to NXT first, figure out exactly where you're at there. Ospreay probably, no, in fact, absolutely would not have to do that. He would go to the main roster like AJ Styles did when he got there. And I think for a guy like Ospreay, it's not just about the money. It is about the art, too. But I believe he could be convinced, and I believe that he could convince himself that he could do that artwork in WWE and have maybe not the length of the matches that he has, but the intensity of them, and with the WWE background, and what they can do, whether you like it or not, to blow something up into a major deal. I'm sure he looks at Cody or Roman and goes, I can hang with those guys, or I'm better than those guys. why not take this shot if I'm going to be moving to America anyway, and I'm willing to do that now. And look, it makes a lot of sense. And I think in both of those cases, I don't think it is just going to be about the money, because he's going to get money from whoever it is. It's just a matter of, again, where he feels comfortable and who's got the better job of selling those folks on why you should sign with us as opposed to the other.
Well, I think that the thing that everyone also needs to look at is there was a point where Dragon Lee had to make a decision. And you're going to tell me that Dragon Lee does not care about going in there and having the best matches possible? And, everyone was like, don't go to WWE, don't go to NXT, go to AEW. And he made the decision that he was going to go to NXT because he believed that if I go to NXT, I'll be here for a year, and then I'm going to be up on the main roster. I'm going to make main roster money, and I can be a star there. And, I heard it. He'll never be a star on the main roster. He'll never get out of NXT, the whole 9 yards. Well, he is now on the main roster with a main roster contract. And, there were a lot of comparisons. Who's going to end up doing better? Bandito going to AEW or Dragon Lee going to NXT? Everybody said that Bandito was going to do better going to AEW. And here we are, and quite frankly, Dragon Lee is doing significantly better having gone to WWE than Bandito is doing having gone to AEW. Now, that's two guys, okay?
Well, and there's an asterisk that needs to be put on that with Bandito because he has been injured. There are visa issues, I believe. There are other things that at play there, but take some of the
He has been, but he was there before all that happened.
Then. But and the thing is, if you take anybody else who is from Mexico on the AEW roster, I mean, it could apply there, even though it's Bandito. Like, put up where Dragon Lee is right now and how they're positioning him. Again, and that could all get blown up rather quickly. But for right now, where he's at in comparison to some of these other guys, to me, it's no question. We'll see what happens with Andrade and Rush because they're they're great players. But as far as the commanders go and folks like that, I mean, there's no question who's in a better position.
So we've got Danielson also will be facing. So he got his surgery, and the question is, will he be ready for the Tokyo Dome? And presumably he figures he will be ready for the Tokyo Dome because him and Okada is now official for the show. And he did a video challenging Okada. He had this big thing over his eye. And basically he cut a promo saying, I'm going to go to the Tokyo Dome. I'm going to break your right arm so you'll never be able to do that Rainmaker again. Kind of like how Solo was going to thumb John Cena so he could never talk again. And then he thumbed him and then he talked the next week on TV. But anyway, he's vowed to break his arm. And apparently they were going to do an angle at the show. But because of the broken orbital bone, Bryan Danielson could not fly. And so he did the video call out and Okada accepted. And so that is official for the show. We've got Sanada and Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. We've got Hiromu versus El Desperado for the junior title. And we have Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney against TJP and Francesco Akira. That is the current lineup, 5 matches, for the one-night Tokyo Dome. They've dropped it back to one night after a couple of years of 2 nights. So that's the show.
Did you say Francesco Akira or Francisco Akira?
It's like San Francisco. Yes. That's how you pronounce it, Mike. Don't question me. So that's that. Did you see any of the other matches from the show this weekend?
No, not yet. I'm going to be recording with Adam tomorrow, a brand new Adam and Mike Big Audio Nightmare. So I'm going to watch the rest of the show and then also watch the Katsuhiko Nakajima match where he won the Triple Crown. They've already announced for December 31st he'll be facing off against Kento Miyahara in, depending on how you look at the match of the year, whether you include the very end of the year on 2024 or it's 2023, it's probably going to be a contender up there with all those Will Ospreay matches from this year.
I got to watch this John Moxley versus Great O'Khan match.
Oh, I did see.
Did you?
I did see a lot
How was
of
it?
that. Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I said going in, I was like, I think this match is going to be good because, like, the Great O'Khan, when he just, like, wrestles, like he does shoot style, MMA style, grappling style, amateur wrestling style, that's when he's at his best. And, like, Moxley's a huge fan of doing that sort of thing. So then it turns out they do Falls Count Anywhere.
It was a big, fat, fun mess, but it was a mess. I would have rather have seen a little bit more in the ring and better balance to it, but they played it for spectacle. Moxley cut off the Great O'Khan's tail.
What?
Or one of the braids. Yeah, so I don't know. Moxley should maybe wear that around his neck on Wednesday, but yeah, so I don't know if everything is all finished between the United Empire faction and the BCC quite yet.
All right, I got to watch this tonight. I must. And then also, we've got the Lone Star Shootout on Friday on Fight. Shingo versus Trent Beretta for the Never Openweight title. Mayu Iwatani defends the women's title against Stephanie Golly.
Vaquer.
I can't pronounce these French words. I'm a Mexican. We got Zack Sabre Jr. against Mike Bailey for the World TV title. Moxley and Wheeler versus David Finlay and Kenta. It's going to be a bad night for old Wheeler. And Mystico and TJP and plenty more. Filthy Tom's on the show. And he's going to be on this show in a little over an hour. Only for subscribers.
Yeah.
WrestlingObserver.com and video.f4wonline.com. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Leg drop.
Sorry, but you don't have your shell yet.
That's it. Continue. Damn, you gotta stop laying on your head like that.
Let's go, Treehouse.
Show your next turtle.
It's broke for sure.
Figure four? A figure four? You can know the figure four? That's too funny.
You said that 8 times now.
And a sleeper. Where's the Enziguri?
He likes it. Use more.
You look bad on that one.
Drop it back.
On that.
Blame on the rough.
That's it. Super kick. Uh-oh.
Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. And we got to talk about some shows here and more. We had the Crown Jewel show. And, they go to Saudi Arabia, and, every time, it's like, man, maybe something big's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. And even though it's, a big show for them now, which because it was over 3.5 hours, nothing happened. And I guess we had the return of Kyrie. But, we didn't have Drew McIntyre winning the title. Obviously, there was no chance that Roman Reigns was going to lose the title. But we didn't have a cash-in. The biggest angle was that Sami Zayn stole the briefcase. And the thing with this show is that, the way that Triple H books these shows now is he doesn't book bad matches. Everyone is allowed to go out there. They have a little bit more freedom in terms of what they can do. And there was nothing on the show that was bad. But there was only one great match, which was the Drew McIntyre-Seth Rollins match. That match was great. And other than that, it was good match, pretty good match, good match. Actually, the Logan Paul match was really good. And it was just that up and down the show. And there were a lot of run-ins, which unfortunately happens now in every company. We have the same thing in AEW. I'm sure it's the same thing in Impact. We have the same thing in New Japan. And, my talking point of the last several months, because there have been so many run-ins, is there's nothing inherently wrong with a run-in finish if it is a pivotal part of a ongoing storyline, okay? A good example of that would be, when they did that Bianca Belair, Io Sky match. Well, Bayley was out there, and Bianca goes to put Bayley through a table, and she ends up getting attacked from behind by Kyrie. Kyrie Sane has returned. Kyrie throws Bianca into the post. Bianca gets into the ring. She immediately gets hit with a moonsault, and she gets pinned. And then Kyrie and Io double-team Bianca. And outside of the ring is Bayley, and she's stunned. And she doesn't know what to do. Because for months, they have been teasing a breakup between Bayley and Io Sky. And Bayley is, in fact, the one that ran Kyrie out of WWE. So this all actually makes sense in this long, ongoing storyline, okay? Fine. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. But when you've got a match with the Judgment Day, and it's the same thing, so-and-so runs in, so-and-so distracts the ref, so-and-so runs in. There was no storyline reason for it other than we do it in every last single match. Now, if you'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt because we are building towards Cody's crew versus the Judgment Day in War Games at Survivor Series, fine. But, it's every single show. And then, of course, it was the exact same thing in the main event with LA Knight. Everybody interfered. Everybody ran in. I'm sure it's going to lead to LA Knight beating Jimmy at Survivor Series so he can get a big win over somebody in the bloodline. But it's just up and down the show. It's one after another after another. Now, if there's one positive compared to the past, at least... Dom, we can hear you, brother. There we go. He better not have been complaining about me. So anyway, the one good thing compared to the past is that we used to have all this interference in crappy matches. At least now we have all this interference in good matches. But the quick results, in case you missed it, Seth Rollins beat Drew McIntyre. The storyline here is that the Judgment Day has been trying to recruit Drew. He has turned them down every single time. So after he lost again, Rhea showed up and, sorry, brother, should have thought about it. So he was very sad. Rhea Ripley, of course, won the 5-way, which I don't think was in doubt at all. And then, speaking of interference and no interference, hey, something happened on the show. Solo Sikoa beat John Cena clean in the middle of the ring with no interference. Nobody showed up. Nobody distracted. They went back and forth. and Solo Sikoa thumbed him 11 times and pinned him. And they played it up like this might be the last time that you ever see this John Cena. And it was very much like Hobbs and Jericho as far as like putting a guy over. There was no mistaking here. This was not a fake put a guy over. This was he put this guy over. Solo is the better man. And John Cena needs to go back to acting or something, which in fact is what he's going to do. Logan Paul beat Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title when he used brass knucks over his titanium fist. I don't know why he needed both, but he's a new U.S. champion. It's a good match. In fact, I think it might have been the second best match on the show as I look back here. But Logan saved his life at least once, and it was not like those, choreographed celebrity matches. Logan is now having to go out there and work WWE-style matches, and he did fine. It was a good match. Io Sky and Bianca we talked about. Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest. So they kind of had a back-to-back thing here where Cody and Damian had all of the heels interfering, but then Cody, like House of Torture, he thwarted all of them, and he won. Well, coming up next was Roman Reigns and LA Knight. Same deal. We're going to do a bunch of interference, but we want you to believe that, hey, despite this interference, LA Knight might be able to overcome it and win. Well, of course, he did not. He got distracted. He got speared through the barricade. He got put in the ring and speared in the middle and pinned. And Roman Reigns retains the title and now is on vacation again because that's what he does. Not going to be a Survivor Series.
Nope.
Which means it will not be the Bloodline versus the Judgment Day and War Games. It is Cody's crew versus, which should be their name, by the way. He should change his name to Cody with a K. They could be Cody's crew, with 2 Ks.
No,
that's how they do things in wrestling.
No, why could it just be Cody's crew with the 2 Cs?
Could be the 2 Cs. And then you put them like this, like some sort of logo or something.
Yes.
Anyway, whatever. I thought the show was, it was too long. And man, poor Collision. I mean, if anybody watched this show, I can't imagine you also watch Collision. It's just too much wrestling for one day. On a Saturday.
Oh, well.
No, it was. And then the New Japan show on top of that.
Yeah,
things suffered this weekend, I would say.
Did you suffer this weekend? Sounds like you did a little bit.
I suffered watching all this wrestling and then staying up till 3 a.m. with Dave. Yeah, I suffered. Paid for it the next day, too. It was rough.
When it comes to nothing happening on this show, overall, yeah, Carrie came back and there were other things that happened, but for the most part, good. You've given Saudi Arabia the world's greatest Royal Rumble or whatever you called it. You're already giving them a show. To me, there's no reason to give them any more. You're getting paid a whole lot. This is essentially a sold show on steroids. That's what this show is. So unless you're getting the screws put to you that you have got to give us more on these shows, I wouldn't do that because there's, even though you're not going to bring it up, there's people not watching that show. They're at this point quietly not watching this show. You don't see the protests online as much anymore or things like that, but there are people not watching. Why do any more to me booking-wise on this show than you have to, especially as you're leading into Royal Rumble anyway, and especially when the TV ratings, especially right now, actually matter. So I'm actually all for that. You can give them stars. You gave them good action. You gave them all that stuff. You do it twice a year now for them. To me, I wouldn't do any more than what they did. I actually kudos to that if that's something they're intentionally going about doing.
Well, then we had the Collision show with Swerve and AR Fox, which Swerve won. And then they had a bunch of dudes run in to set up the main event, which we shall get to, this Collision main event right here. I do not have high hopes for that. MJF and Daniel Garcia did promos. They're having a title match on Wednesday, which means, everyone, yes, it could be Daniel Garcia versus Jay White. It will not be. Kip Sabian cut a promo. They're now the Sex Stallions. Kip Sabian and the Workhorsemen. That's their new name. We had Roddy and the Kingdom come down to the ring, and then Trent and Taven and Bennett beat 2 blokes. And then Roddy got in the ring, hit that jumping knee, and then collapsed. They had to load him back into his wheelchair again. And it's one of those things where that they had something that they were going to do starting in September or whatever for Roddy,
Cole.
Kingdom, Cole, MJF. Well, Cole got hurt. And so now, apparently, we just have to extend this ha-ha out 9 months. And I don't know, man.
Well, I won't say what. Never mind. I just wish they would change course here with all of this. When they actually wrestled, Taven and Ben are pretty good, but they have been absolute and utter clowns the entire time. And Roderick Strong, I'm all for him showing personality now, but it needs to be a lot better balanced because it's not as good as they think it is.
I don't like to do. I'm not going to bother. Darby Allin and Lance Archer. They had a good match. Darby beat him with the middle rope code red. And then Jake sent out Vincent and Dutch to beat up Darby. And so, yes, next week on the show, it is Vincent, Dutch, and Lance Archer.
That could have had more impact.
Against Darby, Sting, and Adam.
Should have had more impact.
And I don't want to get mad about it, but man, of all the people to stick up for Hangman Page's baby,
yeah,
it's not the baby's father.
No,
it's Alex Abrahantes.
Yeah,
he is disgusted with what happened.
Yeah,
so he's sending Penta to take out Swerve on Wednesday.
His good friends, the Young Bucks.
Maybe he's the godfather of Hangman's kid. Is that possible?
Possible. You never know. But, the Young Bucks seem to be upset with Kenny because he wasn't there for his friends, even though they made it all about themselves and never referred to Hangman Page or his family or the situation in that promo. So why is Alex doing that on behalf of asking for a match? To me, he should be one of those guys that's just disgusted about it and should not have been Hangman Page's mouthpiece to get to this match.
So we had the Acclaimed out for the 69-day celebration. You know what's funny is I certainly cannot say that this is good. And, I heard from a lot of people, AEW fans, actually from like hardcore AEW fans. Leonard, for example, absolutely hated this segment.
Too WWE
and
for him?
I will say this. Before I watched this, I watched the Miz's segment on Crown Jewel. And so I watched the 69-day celebration, and it didn't bother me that much.
Not so bad.
It went way too damn long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it went on forever. And then Dalton Castle and the boys come out. And I was like, okay, well, we'll set up a match for next week or whatever. But, like, they did an angle and then did the match immediately. And I was like, is this an hour long? And then, luckily, that match was quick. Dalton and the boys lost. And, I don't know, man. Then we had this, of all
Bryan,
the things, of all the storylines to do every single week without exception. Andrade is on this show every week being asked about CJ. Every week he says the same thing. I'm not interested. But they ask him every week. So he's going to answer face-to-face next week.
Hey, the Acclaim stuff that they did with the boys and all that, when you're hot and everything's humming, a segment like that isn't so bad. You say it's a little long. When things aren't humming, then you tend to look down on it a little more, and that's the problem right now.
We had Mark Briscoe and Naturally Limitless beat Kip Sabian, the Workhorseman. That was good. They announced Mark and Jay White on Wednesday. That should be an excellent match.
Yeah.
Willow Nightingale beat Emi Sakura.
Ugh.
They set up Keith Lee versus Samoa Joe for Wednesday. That should be awesome. And then the main event was Big Bill, Ricky Starks, and the Gates of Agony versus FTR and LFI. It was all about Roosh. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. So yeah, main event was Big Bill, Ricky and the Gates of Agony versus FTR and LFI. And the whole match was about pushing Roosh, who got the win with the drop kick in the corner. And presumably got something big planned for this guy. And then the House of Black cut a promo on FTR and ended up in the ring behind him. Claudio and Wheeler ran down to make the save. And exactly where this is going, I could not even begin to tell you. It appears that House of Black is feuding with everybody. And I guess we'll probably have a multi-man match coming out of this. Right?
How many matches has Brody King had, period, of any kind since they've been signed there?
Not a lot.
It's just, you watch the shows and you go, there's talent all over. And Buddy's sitting in the crowd, and Malachi.
Well, he's also been
Brody
injured since.
That's true, and that's one of
August.
Malachi's issues too. But Roosh and Andrade, and I know there's been issues with everybody, but man, it's not like they don't have the talent there. It's just about putting together the right combinations and booking them correctly. For every move forward with Swerve, you have a questionable circumstance, but he's so over, and I think he and Paige will be so over that it's going to cover for a lot of that stuff. But again, up and down the card, it seems like they're really in a mess right now, trying to find their way and trying to make things click. Again, we talked about it with MJF. Look how thinly spread he is, portraying 5 different characters on a show when there was really only one that had gotten him over in the first place.
Well, we are out of time. We're going to be back in an hour. Video.f4wonline.com, only for subscribers. That's our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell button so you always know when the free shows are going to be. But that's Filthy and I in an hour, and that'll be up for subscribers at WrestlingObserver.com as well. And then later tonight, Wrestling Observer Radio, myself and Dave Meltzer, also for subscribers at WrestlingObserver.com, video.f4wonline.com as well. Probably about who knows when, but it'll be tonight. And that's it, everybody. We'll talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.